Hello and welcome back to Anastasia Speaks, where sacred spaces are created to heal the invisible scars, knock down your roadblocks to love, and build community whilst illuminating your soul's essence through activation, spiritual guidance, and soul integration. I am Anastasia, your host. I'm an intuitive, licensed integrative specialist counselor, holistic therapist, and spiritual coach. In today's episode, I'll be talking about love and relationships. In my readings and counseling sessions, I often get people who constantly question if they're with the right person. People who feel disconnected in their relationships and how to navigate conflicts. This led me down various thoughts, including making this episode and why love isn't always so clear-cut for people. So let's talk about why people feel love is so hard, and more importantly, how we can make it easier. This episode is for anyone struggling with relationship challenges, feeling disconnected from their partner, or questioning if love is meant to be so difficult. I'll also share my channeled messages and explore insights from psychology experts, well-known relationship therapists, and couples counselors. Then I'll give you some practical solutions to help you navigate love in today's world. Love is supposed to be easy, they say. I'll meet the love of my life and live happily ever after, they say. It'll all fall into place, they say, but we all know that's just not the reality for most people. We go into love unfairly. That's the issue. With prejudice, bias, conditions, and unrealistic expectations from what we've been told by society, the fairy tales, the books, and Disney movies. They've all showed us an unfair representation of what love is and what love is supposed to be. And we all know life is far from an hour and a half of animation and fairy tales. When we don't get this picture perfect fairy tale, we become resentful. When we don't get what we want, we hold grudges and unforgiveness about ways we've been treated, about circumstances we never envisioned, and often penalize the people we're with or make them pay for mistakes of past partners and things that we might assume in our minds. In the Western world, we've collectively become accustomed to being self-reliant due to the age of Aquarius, and social media has made people feel people are disposable. We are no longer living with grandparents, uncles and aunts who are married and down the streets, our cousins. So we're so out of touch with community and coming together. People are literally now seen as just commodities. People are no longer valuing one another for who they are, their uniqueness, and for just being a part of the world, let alone what they bring. And that's because to most, they're replaceable. We have got so much access at our fingertips thanks to technology, making it easier for people to compare, judge, move on, lose interest, and become complacent with what they have. So it's no wonder we have come to this sort of crisis point in relationships. A lot of modern day relationships have lost the fruits love produce. That's the resilience, the patience, the grace, the ability to surrender and overcome, riding the natural waves of change together through purpose and commitment and dedication. Nowadays, relationships are centered on self, what the self needs, wants, gains, and how it should exist to serve just them. People come together now without a common purpose, a bigger purpose, bigger than them, or a vision and goal for their partnership and commitment. Therefore, lacking commitment and the dedication to a cause that truly is going to bring people together. And this kind of creates a lack of purpose and incentive for keeping relationships. because they're surface-based or hold no real weight. So it's no surprise that relationships are suffering. People are saying love and relationships are hard, using words like impossible. I think we've just got to go back to basics. Strip back the meaning of love and what it is to love. Love is not just an action word or a feeling, like the Oxford Dictionary says, and I quote, a very strong feeling of affection, a great interest and pleasure in something, or the verb feel love for and like very much. When you delve in the lens of love from the spiritual aspect, we see how love is a verb and noun because it's actually a state of being. Love cannot be added and subtracted because it just is. It just is. And when you can truly, truly understand this, you can love unconditionally. You part with all the feelings and the conscious efforts of doing, and you just become. That is the difference. If you've ever unconditionally loved someone or been unconditionally loved by someone, then you know how elevated you felt just by being in their presence. They didn't need to do anything at the time. They would just be. And this can often be referred to in the relationship as the honeymoon stage or being in a bubble. And now I don't believe this has to end or something that we can only expect or experience in the beginning. I truly don't. And I really don't even believe in the honeymoon phase, because the truth is, healthy relationships where unconditional love is present can be mostly blissful, filled with grace, interest, and pleasure throughout. Of course, there will be dips in its levels. However, this ultimately depends on the people who come together, the levels of commitment and dedication to make love the glue. This means looking at the spiritual principles and figures whom we can draw examples from. And the center of that being the creator of all that is, God, Allah, or however you identify creator. Now, to most, this sounds delusional and virtually impossible because life happens, change comes, we evolve. But I'd like to challenge you all with the question: if God is love, then how is anything impossible? This means this is possible. And if unconditional love didn't stand the test of time, then how do we explain family? How do we explain friendships, business bonds that we make that last a lifetime, stories and references to characters and people that give us that example? Better yet, how do we instantaneously know the look and feel of a soulmate if love couldn't exist to just be? We as humans must learn to become unwavering by temporary external circumstances, because guess what? Everything is temporary. Nothing stays the same. Change is constant. That is one thing we can be sure of. So, in order to build upon unconditional love, you must be prepared to let go consistently. Let go of past hurts, traumas, grudges, expectations, and comparisons. You must be willing to be love in every moment, or at least most often than not. You must challenge yourself to be this, to hold that mold. You must be open to being moved by love in a way that might be foreign, that might feel uncomfortable, and that might seem challenging, but move, flow anyway, in alignment with love. The thing is, love isn't hard, but it also isn't easy. And for as much as there are moments of ease, and that's how you know you're in the flow, relationships in themselves can be hard. The relationship part, not the love part. Because as I said, love just is, and it's a constant, it's consistent, it's stable, it's unmoved in its state of being everywhere all at once. Relationships, on the other hand, can be hard because in them we are presented with the most mirrors where we see our flaws, where we see the most flaws in humanity as a whole, not just ourselves, also in our programming, in our lens and unloving actions. Love isn't logical. And we cannot assume that all things in the affairs of love can be dealt with such logic. Quite the opposite. We must expect that it will defy logic. It will test what we believe, what we know to believe, and how we perceive it. Feelings are fleeting, but as I said, love is a constant. So when you're deciding whether to stay or leave, whether to do it or not, to say it or not, ask yourself, is this a fleeting feeling, or is this the voice of love that is constant and will give me the same answer 5 minutes from now, 5 hours or years from now, no matter what's happening? If it changes based upon variables, then that's your answer right there. It isn't love. It is indeed ego, hurt, outdated beliefs, or programming, self-sabotage, and beliefs that just don't serve you. This is very confronting, I know. Yes, it sounds ideal in theory and easier said than done, I know. I understand. I feel you, but trust me. If unconditional love is what you desire and you apply this and move accordingly, you'll live in this bliss more than you don't. You'll attract more of the love you feel you deserve. You'll reap the fruits of love more than not. You'll possess its blessings and be able to share its truths and wisdoms with others, so they too can experience the presence of love, not just through your words, but through you as the channel. If you've ever felt the Holy Spirit, being in the presence of someone who you know Creator has anointed with a message or as a messenger, then I want you to see how this reality of living in love is not just possible for you, but exists across the world in all shapes, sizes, and forms outside of religion. Love doesn't mean you'll agree with everything, but you will have a sense of acceptance of everything. Love may require you to move together in love, but separately or even from a distance. It might also look very different to how you expect. Invite God in and ask to be moved by the presence of love and become the presence of love itself in your decisions, actions, and words. Love understands and finds understanding in less ideal situations of circumstance and people. Find the understanding. This brings me to the statistic that Dr. John Gottman, a renowned relationship expert, found, and it was that 69% of relationship conflicts are perpetual. This means most issues don't go away and they are managed through emotional intelligence and understanding. Another world-renowned relationship expert, psychotherapist, and author whose words resonate so deeply with me is Esther Perel, and she argues that modern love is struggling because we expect one person to be our everything. Best friend, lover, therapist, business partner, co-parent, and the list goes on. And I agree. I believe this in turn can suffocate our relationships and kills the passion and spark. This is also how we become codependent and why it's important to have and build community, not just within the sphere of the relationship, but outside the relationship. In all areas in our lives, we must be all that we can be to and for ourselves without the expectation that someone can be everything for us. And if not, we must fill those areas where we need support or guidance and form those relationships outside our intimate romantic relationships. We can draw our everything from Creator of all that is also. Having that foundation is also why some relationships do stand the test of time. Because when you understand that God is love, that anchor really does ground you in every direction, in every turn. Using your relationship with the Creator to create space, capacity, and direction regarding how to navigate the relationship And getting more support and wanting supportive resource for healthy, fulfilling relationships is really the way to go. A beautiful quote by James Kavanagh says, "To love is not to possess, to own or imprison, nor to lose oneself in another. Love is to join and separate, to walk alone and together, to find a laughing freedom that lonely isolation does not permit." And I couldn't agree more. We must remove the delusion of fairy tales to what is actually possible for us, without imprisonment, without resentment, but by the capacity in which we have and can create or move towards for ourselves, being attainable with goals and desires that we are motivated and inspired to reach through our actions, through our beingness, through our presence. This therefore looks different for everyone. We must also understand conflict is just contrast, and contrast is a part of growth and at times relating, the process in achieving mutual understanding. So this is necessary. We don't all have the same attachment style, communication style, or emotional baggage. This means we won't all experience love and relationships the same way. If you do not know your attachment style, communication style, or conflict style, I urge you to do some investigation to understand this. This is really important in regards to how you relate, come to solutions, and resolve in relationships. Knowing this will also let you know what you need to feel secure in your relationships and how to navigate conflict and help you communicate your needs better. Many relationships break down and struggle due to a lack of communication skills, not a lack of love or interest. So we have to be intentional always in our communication. Remember, comparison is the thief of joy, and we can no longer afford to allow comparison to steal joy of connecting, of relating. We also have to move from avoiding, because anything that you resist, including the things that you avoid, only persists. So face it. Stop comparing your relationships, yourselves to anyone or anything, and set boundaries based on your core values. Get into conversation about your values and purpose in the relationship. And I believe in order to do this successfully, you must get really clear on your own triggers and actively work to heal past trauma and do the inner work to continue in self-development and growth so that you can build that healthy communication. Because it's very hard to build a healthy relationship with someone if your past wounds still haunt you and rear its head at every conflict. It's not impossible, but it does make it so much more challenging and requires much more emotional intelligence and capacity from the other person to hold space for you, with you as you heal. And this can be very difficult for most who are also trying to navigate their own issues. So if you are struggling with relationship challenges and feel disconnected in your partnership, try doing these 3 things. The first is practice more self-love. Give yourself all the things you desire a romantic partner to give you. Appreciate yourself. Lift yourself up with words of affirmation. Spend more time doing things you love. Treat yourself. This will in turn increase your radiance, your self-worth, and your attractiveness. This energy will move your partner to want to be close to you, to gravitate towards meeting you halfway and understanding your perspective when you are in this energy of love. If you're single, don't wait for the perfect person because you're already it. Just work on being the best version of yourself and showing up in alignment with what that is. So when someone else comes along, you don't feel insecure and self-sabotage. Perfection doesn't exist outside of all of us being created in the perfect image of creators. So let go of the pressures to be perfect and to seek it outside of yourself. No one is without flaw, and in that we are all imperfectly perfect. Number 2, during conflicts, get out of the habit of destructive communication, which includes criticism, defensiveness, stonewalling, and contempt. These 4 communication blockers are the demise of relationships. Instead, practice active listening with things like a timer or hourglass to allow the other person to fully complete their sentences. Use I statements such as I feel and share how you feel rather than you didn't, you never, etc. Try asking what you did to incite such a reaction or feeling, and how they would prefer you to show up rather than blame, finger point, or stubbornly try to prove a point during times where you were just at a gridlock. Sometimes it's important to just take time out and create space to show up better. And this has to be done respectfully, communicated prior to the distance taking place. Conflicts can arise from past wounds and triggers, so it's important that we get curious about the conflicts and lead with that so we can gain understanding, as embracing conflicts really are the gateway for an opportunity to understand one another better. Lastly, I want to talk about things we must prioritize, and that starts with quality time. You can't build a solid foundation and stable connection without it. Number 2, consistently creating a safe space where each other feels safe to freely express themselves. Because without this, the fear of judgment can create havoc within conflicts themselves and generally in the relationship. Number 3, express gratitude for your connections, partnerships, and relationships daily. This allows the other person to feel valued, seen, and appreciated. No one wants to be in a relationship where they don't feel seen or appreciated in. Number 4, embrace playfulness. Embrace laughter, because what's the point of it all if you can't have fun, feel light, or play? Life isn't meant to be so serious. Yes, life happens, requiring us to make serious decisions, but even through that, we must make time for play and joy, otherwise it's all meaningless. And in essence, we have forgotten to be in the state of love. Number 5, remembering love is what matters. So always ask yourself, are you speaking, acting, moving in alignment with love, and therefore showing up as the best version of yourself? Or are you showing up through a lens of pain, hurt, or ego? If you are showing up in the latter, take accountability, reset, and replace it with the lens of love, and in turn change your behavior accordingly. Audrey Hepburn said, "The best thing to hold on to in life is each other." And I couldn't agree more. We live in a cancel culture. We're so quick to just feel like we can cancel people and, like I said earlier, just remove and dispose of people. But the truth is we need each other. Creator created all of us and all the things because we all play a necessary role in each other's lives and we're all interwoven. So it's okay to seek guidance when in crisis, when needed, through a qualified, licensed therapist or counselor, or even a trusted mentor or friend whom you value their unbiased opinion, whom demonstrates love on a daily basis. In The Art of Loving, Eric Fromm says, "Love requires discipline, concentration, patience, faith, and the overcoming of narcissism, and that love is a practice." So guess what? Sometimes we'll need guidance on the practice of love, but as Nat King Cole said, the greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return. So beautiful. And Paul Coelho states, "When we love, we always strive to become better than we are. When we strive to become better than we are, everything around us becomes better too. And I truly do believe that. Love doesn't guarantee ease or comfort all of the time, but love does guarantee lessons in love that are not only worth it, but enriching. Life becomes an endless series of beauty and joy. And I just want to share part of this channeled piece I wrote 2 years ago because I think it's so prevalent for what we're speaking to right now and this episode. Life is one big contradiction, and that's okay. We're living in a reality of falsehoods every day, yet life is as real, meaningful, and substantial as we make it. Perception is reality only because we choose it, because we have chosen it. And in choosing it, we must accept the responsibility of that reality, whatever form it takes. Freedom is the key, but not in the way we think. The feeling of freedom is birthed only through living experience, through not hiding oneself, not hiding the ashamed parts, the unpreparedness, the love, the lack of love, nothing. Not hiding anything. It means transparency, but nothing like we usually experience. It means being busted open by experience. So much so you are a flowing channel for everything, for anything, and yet choose love's existence to be the channel, to broadcast, to experience, to showcase, to be an example, to teach how love is the experience. How being loved takes on so many faces, so many changes of existence. Change and variation is non-existent without love. That's why love is the priority. That's why love takes you to freedom and is truly the way. I'll leave it there as we move to our affirmations, to repeat throughout the week, to integrate what you've listened to today and help you navigate your connections with more ease and confidence. But before we do, why don't we take 3 deep breaths in and out, allowing love's existence to fill you on every inhale, in, and on the exhale, imagine releasing all the tension in your body. And also feeling it being transmuted into molecules of love that extends all around you and goes way beyond you. That's it. Take a nice, another deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Let it all go. Say these affirmations out loud or in the silence of your heart. Whenever you're ready. I am worthy of deep, fulfilling, unconditional love. And I attract relationships that nourish my soul. I communicate with transparency, honesty, love, and clarity, creating deep emotional connections through this. Love flows effortlessly in my life, and I give and receive it with ease and gratitude. I release past hurts and embrace love with trust, joy, and an open heart. Again, take 3 nice deep breaths in and out. And just like that, we've come to the end of the show and the part where I like to share this week's prompt. But before I do, I just want to ask you for a moment to give the show a 5-star rating if you've enjoyed the content and you enjoy the show, so others may easily find it as well. With much love and gratitude. Thank you. This week's prompt is, if my only connection to love was joy, how would I feel, act, and be moved? These prompts are creative writing prompts designed to take you a little deeper into self-reflection, discovery, and soul integration, to get those channels of creativity and divine insight opening more and more week after week, to help integrate the lessons along with the messages our soul has for us. Take 20 minutes and 20 minutes only to write all that comes up without distractions. It doesn't matter what it sounds like or what it looks like. It doesn't need to be perfect. Just write it and allow it all to come out. Write everything you feel and be present. You don't need to share it, but if you feel moved to, I'd love to hear it. So feel free to send your responses in, or if you've got questions, share them in the comment sections on my social media pages or in the review sections along with your replies to my additional questions to be answered on the next show. But for now, you can get relationship clarity on your partnerships in a one-to-one counseling session or reading with me to see beyond the blocks and find healing within the challenges for a renewed sense of connection and love. For any of my other counseling, coaching services, or holistic therapies, head over to anastasiaspeaks.com for more. You can also join my Sacred Spaces community and be held, encouraged, and supported like you deserve by kind and kindred spirits who will encourage you to be authentically you over on my website under the Sacred Spaces page, and sign up to my upcoming newsletter to stay aligned and have wisdom delivered to you daily. If you haven't yet read my poetry book, The Empath and Her Twin Flame, Through You I Discovered Me, you can find it on my website, also on Apple's iBooks, on Amazon Kindle, and in hardcover and paperback, along with the Twin Flame Journal to accompany you in navigating your own journey. Connect with me over on Facebook, X, Threads, Instagram, YouTube, and Clubhouse searching Anastasia Speaks, or go to anastasiaspeaks.com for more. Remember, seeking more means you can no longer stay small. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to subscribe. The key is always radical self-acceptance, but just know, delay is not denial. Missteps happen so we get the chance to realign. And you are not alone. Soul integration is your birthright, and love louder to release all fear. See you on the next episode.